but you're driving a Forager, so you're hardly...
I'm not meant to be, am I really? Let's be brutally honest. I'm sure I get told off for that at some point.
We are currently in the south of England somewhere. I will let Paul explain in a minute exactly where we are. Everyone is away for a cup of tea, and we have literally stopped the machine and we have commandeered, is that the right word, commandeered? We've commandeered Paul to explain a little bit about what's happening. Paul, you may remember from one of our videos a couple of years ago, used to be I don't know what you want to call it, but it was in my eyes one of the top men working for John Deere, in charge of the launch of the 8000 series and what we currently now see right up to the 99. And he has since came home from Zeebrugge, and he has taken up initially a job with our Hunt, which has now migrated or merged or formed, which is now the Hunt Forest Group. He's been a busy man. Paul, talk to us. What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have to say a lot now, you just said it all. Yeah, so we're here in the land of milk and honey. It's a gorgeous sunny day, 30 degrees, and we're harvesting ryegrass for our customer Apsley Farms. And we're harvesting here with the 9900, but as you can see, it can't quite make up its mind whether it's a combine or a forager. And we like to think it's a pretty good hybrid of both.
Why this header? But that for the layman is, what's it called, like a hydro float?
It's a hydro float.
Hydro float draper header.
730D.
What's wrong with the good old fashioned Zern?
Nothing's wrong with the good old fashioned Zern. Great header, but this customer just wants to do something slightly different, which is absolutely fine. We get given the problems and we sort out the solutions. That's what we're about. At the end of the day, the Zern takes a lot of power to drive. There's no denying it. And the customer wanted something that could maximise the horsepower of the machine, but also minimise the losses in the field. So a combine header is very good at taking all the grain away and not leaving hardly anything on the ground in terms of shatter losses, whereas the Zern, it doesn't really suffer with losses, but with anything with rotating parts, you're going to get a degree of loss out of that header. But the power is the main thing.
Is the 99 really needed? Or is there an element of it's something that you used to work with, and you know what I'm saying here, without annoying the customer too much? Did you talk him into it?
Well, considering we sold him an 8.8, or I sold him an 8.8 last year, I think there's probably an element of the other way around actually. But hey, look, I was more than happy to sell a 9.9. We're over the moon. It's great that we could supply it. The team here have done a great job of supporting the guy and getting this header up and running and looking after it whilst he's in the harvest. So
you did run the 8.8 with this header last year, so this isn't exactly brand new for the 9.9. The 8.8 sort of pioneered. Talk us roughly around the changes you had to make to the header, and how did it go in the 8.8 for you last year?
It went last year. It ran. It went fine. Well, actually, it went really well. I'm doing it a disservice. It went really, really well, but it's a learning curve. We're the only guys running that header on a forager in the world in this application. So actually, it's a pretty steep learning curve, and particularly in this crop, because we're aiming for or Ed is aiming for a 20-25 day harvest, and you're starting with the dry matter content one end of the scale, and you're ending the harvest with it at completely other, and the crop changes a lot in that period. I mean, you've seen it today. It's like rope when it wants to be, so it's not a normal crop, and it takes a little bit of tweaking or fettling to get that header right to feed it.
Now I know, and just from chatting to you earlier, Paul, I know you don't want to divulge too much information at this stage as to what you had to do to get the combine head to fit the forager, but it wasn't a case of it's not a case of buying the header and hooking it on.
I know I'm joshing a little bit, but there's a lot of work involved. So some other guys knew that we did it last year, and we had a few phone calls in the winter to go, hey, look, what's involved, and could I do it? And I've got a customer that's interested in doing that. that header will not fit on a combine. It's too heavily modified, and we've had to modify the back plate, the latching points, the drive, the feeding, the bottom of the feeding area. We've modified the trailer heavily as well, because you can't pick it up high enough like you do on a combine. Basically anything you can think of that's unique to a combine has had to go, because it just didn't do the job. And that's not all in one go. That's some of it last year and some of it this year, but now I mean, you've seen it works pretty well.
As business development director, is that correct?
BDD.
BDD?
From BDM.
From BDM to BDD?
Yeah.
How come you're driving a Forager?
I'm sure Tim Hunt probably asked exactly the same question, to be brutally honest. There's always going to be a degree of experience, isn't there, like carried over from the previous job and then previous time at Deere's, and I worked at a dealer before in the West Country, so there's a bit of knowledge of the machine coming on board there. But I think as a business, we look after about 150, 160 combines across our trading area, and Tim Hunt, who a lot of our customers would admire for his attitude to looking after customers in harvest, take a leaf out of his book, really, because in harvest, I don't want to be in an office. I don't want to be in an office all year round, really, but I would much rather support the customer, and the customer sees a lot of value in someone like me coming out to support him, help him get the machine up and running, give him a bit of coaching. And on this project, obviously, it needs a bit more TLC, but you know, I think that's invaluable, really. You don't want to be behind a desk. You want to give people the support they need.
So it's not just number crunching?
No, but there's plenty of that too.
I understand. Because you just said there, right, we know you're on a handful of foragers. I think that's a fair comment, a
Absolutely,
handful of foragers.
We're not in a big
you have
area.
150 plus combines, we'll call it on the books, not all brand new, as you said earlier on, but so it's really harvesting country from a combine perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sort of in the grain belt, if you want to call it that.
Are you, at heart, are you a grain man or a grass man?
That's a really difficult question. You asked me that earlier, and it's difficult to answer. Forager is where the emotions are, and definitely where I love to put the effort. But I suppose technically and long term, I'm a combine man. But it's harvesting. At the end of the day, there's a big push. You'd have chat to Ross Skimming the other day about the new approach that John Deere have got with people in the country towards harvesting, and that's what our business has been about for a long time. So we are a harvesting business, whether it's foraging, combining. We know the headers, we know the crops, we know the machines, and we've got the knowledge to match. So yeah.
Well, we better go and get a cup of tea.
Gasping for some tea.
And then we'll get back up into the seat and we'll finish this field off. Thank you.
Let's go and have some tea.
Yep. So we're in the world's first John Deere Forager and Draper head combination.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Correct.
And this was your idea.
I'm not sure it was my idea. It's more the customer's
yeah.
idea. I think, to be fair.
Ed.
Yes.
This is Ed's idea, and you're basically making it happen.
We're trying. Yeah.
Now, what's all the two-handed approach for here?
Really, because we've got some extra controls for the reel, and as we've just jumped in, you and I, and we're just finding out where the limits are in these conditions. I'm just having to tweak the reel a little bit just until we get going and we're comfortable and happy with it.
Now, what you mean by that is that you still have this header that you've got. It's not like a standard whole crop header with a fixed reel. You still have all the functions of the reel.
Correct.
Up, down, and out. So
yeah.
So is this the point when you see all the things you got wrong in the design?
Well, yeah, pretty much, mate. Pretty much.
When you came home from Germany, you were an employee of John Deere, but you came home, and at that time, 2 years ago, thereabouts, has to be.
Yeah.
You came home and you came as BDM for what at the time would have been the Our Hunt group.
Yeah.
Or Our Hunt, which has now merged and has become the Hunt Forest group.
Correct. Yeah. So we're
So you're busy.
yeah.
Now, is all that,
yeah.
is all those mergers and things? Have you been any? Are you to blame?
I suppose I am to blame. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my baby, if you want to call it that. There's a team of 5 of us that manage the business, and yeah, I'm one of those 5. So we've got a finance guy, a sales director, business development director, a managing director, and a turf and construction director. Remember all that?
Yeah, but you're driving a Forager, so you're hardly.
I'm not meant to be, am I really? Let's be brutally honest. I'm sure I get told off for that at some point.
But is it not important that here you are, you've had a very successful career with John Deere, and
Some might say. Yeah.
Some might say, well, I'm saying it, and now you're back, you're working with a dealer, you're driving again John Deere forward, but your passion for the product that you're driving forward shines.
Undeniable. You just can't. If you look at our product power at the moment, tractors, foragers, balers, everything, just the whole product portfolio is just perfect. It's where we want it to be.
Perfect's not the right
well,
word.
no, maybe for us as a dealer, we don't have it bad, you know.
But whenever the likes of this as an opportunity came, a Draper head on a Forager, are you not like, or are you like, you know what, we can make this happen?
Yeah, we're the can-do people, mate. You come to us with a problem and we'll give you the solution. That's pretty well what it is. Yeah.
So give me the lowdown in this ryegrass, right? It's for an AD plant, Apsley Farms, I understand that. We've met Ed and his father run this business. It's not a normal digester by any means. It's pretty massive. We're not going to get time to see that just on this visit, but there's 4,000 odd acres of this stuff to chop through.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really want to use the Zern header, he wants the Draper header because whilst there's a little bit of loss on a Zern header, but he wants the throughput.
That's right, yeah.
And then you have an extra 2 meters.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What's crazy about it? Be a bit crazier, or a bit better if I had a trailer that caught up. Come on, son, come on. I just give him a bit of grief there for not catching up, you know what I mean? So, yeah, if you can keep up, you know what I mean? Come on, we got work to do.
I know. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. Oh,
Sorry.
she's running well now. How is she feeding up the hill on the other side?
Yeah, she's
Can we push on any harder here? Could that just be, I'm not being funny here now, this is so old school thinking, but could a belt need a wee tighten, or?
She always needs a little bit of fettling, this header in this job. It's meant to be, let's be brutally honest, the thing is meant to be feeding dry crops half the tonnage. We're averaging around 10 tonne a hectare, 9 tonne a hectare, not maybe in this field, but across the farms that Ed's working on.
And you're on steer?
We're auto tracking, we're on RTK.
You're RTK.
No, we're not actually. I'm going to do myself out of a sales pitch here. So we're using the John Deere MTG. So the signal is coming from the mobile phone network and then into the MTG, and the telematics gateway on the machine is using the signal then to correct itself for the RTK.
And what does that mean in layman's
In
terms?
English, basically it just means that the Forager has its own modem built into it. So we're just using a standard dish and piggybacking the signal through the modem on the Forager. And people that watch this will probably say, "Oh well,
So
he's got the
you've slowed that reel well down.
I've slowed the reel down a bit. We've slowed the header down a bit, and I know we've got the reel quite hard into the crop. We're pushing it over, but at the end of
you're
the day,
driving it onto the
you need
belt.
to drive it onto the belts
With a wet crop.
Yeah, you do, and you need to keep it on the belts to be able to feed the machine well. To be brutally honest, we're learning every day with this concept, you know.
But one thing I'm going to say is you're nowhere near maxing out this harvester. This harvester's doing this with ease.
Oh, piece of cake, yeah, absolutely. But the interesting thing is you put the other header on and she's on her knees, you know.
But then that's the more you're running a whole bed.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you're chopping 4, 5, 6 mil?
4 mil we're chopping at.
4 mil?
Yeah.
Now that must be a 64 knife drum.
It is, yeah.
64 knife drum, 4 mil. So it's not like we're running through it for cattle feed, we're running through it short as we can for biogas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like we're not quite in the main green band, but we're not far away from it, so there's quite a bit of horsepower being used, you know.
Yeah, we need our maize.
Now look, don't get excited, but tell me what tractor is coming up next to us.
It's an 8400.
You love this tractor.
It's an 8400 on a silage trailer. I'm moving.
This is harvesting at its finest. Come on.
It's an 8400 on a silage harvester trailer. It's an 8400. Oh, this baby's sweet.
She's a honey, isn't she? She is a honey.
But you know, when you look down at the front here, right? There's nothing there. It's basically just the head off a combine.
Yep.
But all this has been modified. You've had to modify the hooking points. You've had to modify how you feed the crop into the harvester, because the harvester's, I'll call it drum width,
Yep.
is not as wide as a combine.
No.
So you've
But
even
she'd take about 10 times more crop. What? Not to do the combine boys a disservice, you know what I mean?
But you've even removed some of the fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make this all happen.
Yeah. She's put it this way. This is a really easy analogy. She's a hungry lady, but you don't want to give her indigestion.
I'm blown away by this, by the way.
Oh, you haven't said that all day. I was a bit disappointed. I thought you were going to let me down.
I was blown away with the gator, and then I hit it.
Yeah,
Well,
you did. Yeah.
I broke
This
it.
man smashed my gator up. Smashed my gator up. One day I lent it to him. Anyway. Wrecked it.
That's an 8400.
Would you be a tractor man or a forager man?
That's 400.
You know what when we run out of things to talk about here, you know what we should talk about?
The 8400.
No, lorries. No, we shouldn't really.
No.
No, trucks, terrible.
You don't do trucks.
I don't do trucks, sorry. Take a load, move it from A to B. What was it? A tag axle. Anyway, back to business. What are you fiddling with now?
So, with the grass pickup on, we can adjust the speed of our pickup, okay? The tines, pickup reel, and then we can also adjust the speed of the auger.
Yep.
What's happening when we do all that here?
So on this header we're adjusting the belt speed and
Easy.
just like this. Come on, old girl.
She's away.
So we're adjusting the belt speed and the knife speed at the same time.
It's the same as adjusting
The
pickup tines,
Yeah,
and then the reel is the same as adjusting the auger.
correct. Yeah, but there's no auto mode on this machine.
No auto mode on the machine or on with this head on.
With this head on.
Yeah, if we hook. Oh. What? Say that again. Ah!
For dinner? Sorry.
Could we not? Yeah. We'll do another when we do another load when we're
Yeah.
finished. Right?